I remember two sounds at the edge of the world. First, it felt like someone opened a giant door in the sky. Then came silence. The kind of silence where even your own heartbeat sounds like interference on a dead radio channel. Officially, it has a simple name: the event. No dates, no culprits, no real details. In corporate documents, it fits into one neat little line: global nuclear escalation, extinction level incident. For those of us who survived, it means only one thing: the surface is a foreign planet, and life is a paid service. My name is Mark, 32, former systems analyst, former citizen of a country that no longer exists. Now, I'm an employee of AEON Shelter Corporation, the only organization that has officially taken responsibility for the survival of humanity. At least, that's what it says in the welcome brochure. Welcome to the AEON family. You are part of a team that builds tomorrow among the ruins of yesterday. Our mission is to preserve life, order, and hope in any unfavorable environmental conditions. That third line is especially comforting when you know that above your head there is radioactive dust and dead cities. My first day started with a tour. An HR representative showed me around. I think her name was Linda. Her voice sounded like a recorded voicemail message. Even, friendly, completely empty. Sector C is administrative, certified for third-level security. Sector D is analytical and archival. Sector E is restricted access. You don't need to go there, Mark. You don't need to go there. That's how corporations say, that's where all the interesting stuff is. We walked down a corridor that could easily have been somewhere in Silicon Valley, if not for the lack of windows. White walls, neat floor markings, soft overhead lighting. Only the air reminded you where you actually were. A little drier, a little heavier, with a faint taste of filters. She handed me a key card. Your pass, Linda said. Access level, analytical, Class B. You'll be able to work with summary reports, logs, and low-priority archives. If the system ever offers you an access upgrade, please coordinate it with the compliance department first. Compliance. I've remembered that word. Before the war, that's what companies called the people who made sure you didn't ask the wrong questions. My new working world was in Sector D. Analytics and archives sounded almost normal, like in any open space office. Only instead of windows, there were rows of server racks behind glass, and above each desk, a tiny status light. Green, yellow, red. Mine lit up green. My workstation woke up with a soft hum. The AEON logo appeared on the screen. A white circle with a gap, a stylized dome inside, and a tiny human figure at the bottom. The slogan beneath it read, "We own tomorrow." Once, corporations used to write, "We create the future." Now they write, "We own tomorrow." Honestly, that's probably more accurate. The first working day at a megacorporation running shelters doesn't feel like saving humanity. It feels like spreadsheets. The system loaded my starter task package. Analyze discrepancies in resource reports. Check access logs for energy modules. Reconcile population distribution data for sectors A through F. You could call it apocalypse bookkeeping. I worked in silence, listening to the hum of the server room behind the glass and the monotonous drone of ventilation. Somewhere far above us, there had to be a dome, a giant concrete shell separating us from the sky, full of whatever the war had left behind. Officially, we're not supposed to dwell on that. But when you work with numbers, the word officially loses all meaning. About 3 hours into my shift, the system sent me my first special assignment. A small window popped up on the screen. Special task. Category, archival reconciliation. Priority, medium. Source, Director of Sustainable Development. Files, event logs. Authorization, temporary. Accept, Sex 2.0. Event logs from before it all began. Sex 1.0. I didn't even know AEON had any records with a timestamp before the event. Usually, history starts with things like, at the moment of crisis, the corporation quickly opened its doors to the chosen. We preserved the best specialists, the best citizens. Everything before that is kept secret. I clicked accept. The screen flickered and a list of files unfolded before me. Dozens, then hundreds of records. Old meeting minutes, risk assessment reports, models of probable global destabilization scenarios. At the top, like a header, there was a single line. Project, Shelter Development Phase 1. Stage, pre-crisis. Pre-crisis period. One file caught my attention. It stood out by its format and the absence of usual labels. Incident 0. Nothing should come before 0. I tried to open the file. The system politely refused. Access denied. Required level, Omega. Your level, B. Request extended access? In a normal company, I would have closed the window and gone back to work. But AEON is not a normal company. It's the only place where the sign next to the elevator says, "Please do not hold the doors during an emergency. Your cooperation saves lives." I clicked request. Nothing changed. No approval, no rejection. The file simply stayed in the list, like a silent reminder of my curiosity. The cafeteria in Sector D was almost cozy if you forgot for a moment that you were dozens of meters underground. Tables, plastic trays, the same old dumb jokes about the food. It's amazing how quickly people return to old rituals, even when the world above them is nothing but ruins. I was sitting alone when I noticed someone at the next table watching me. A man in his 40s with a badge on his chest confirming access level A. That was way higher than mine. He looked away a moment too late. I already recognized that familiar glint in his eyes. I know something you don't know. A minute later, he stood up, walked around, and sat down across from me. New hire? He asked. Yes, I replied. Mark, analyst. I see. He nodded toward the green indicator on my badge. Sector D recently got a new batch of talented employees. He held out his hand. Tom, compliance. Sex 1.5. Compliance. Sex 0.8. The same people who don't like extra questions. Sex 1.8. How's your first day? Tom spoke casually, almost friendly. Sex 0.8. Nothing special, I shrugged. Spreadsheets, reconciliations, old reports. Sex 0.8. Old reports. He smiled slightly. From before the event? I didn't even have time to be surprised. He already knew everything. The system flags unusual access requests, Mark. Especially when a Class B analyst presses a button most people don't even notice. Sex 1.8. You mean Incident 0? I almost whispered. Tom was silent for a few seconds. Then he pushed his tray aside and leaned in a little closer. A piece of advice, he said quietly. In AEON, curiosity is a resource, but only when it's managed top-down, not bottom-up. He straightened up, his voice returning to normal. Don't worry. In the first week, everyone clicks on the wrong thing. The system sometimes likes to test people. See who clicks where. He got up. In any case, if you ever have questions about access policy, the compliance department is always open. Well, almost always. I watched him leave. Gray suit, straight back, confident walk. On his badge, next to the mark of completed secondary education, there was a small white triangle inside a circle. I had seen that symbol only once before. in the header of that file, internal memo, level Omega. That evening, heading back to my station, I knew two things. First, Incident Zero was not just another record in the archives. It was the starting point for everything that happened in the world. Second, the corporation was watching not only what we did, it was watching what we tried to find out. When my shift finally ended, the system displayed its usual message. Thank you for your contribution to AEON's future. Your efficiency coefficient today? 1.03 of target. Recommendations? Rest, proper nutrition, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Remember, you are an important part of our resilience. I shut down the terminal, but one line wouldn't leave my mind. Project, Primary Housing Provision Project. Stage, pre-crisis. Before the crisis, AEON was already building shelters. Before the crisis, they were already assigning sectors. Before the crisis, they already had Incident Zero. On the way back to my capsule, I heard a voice that would haunt me in every episode. Attention employees, daily reminder, AEON Shelter Corporation saved more than 15 million lives in the first hours of the event. Thanks to our survival protocols, you have access to clean air, water, and protection. Please remember, there is no alternative to AEON. When the door of my room shut behind me, I realized that the scariest part of that message was not the word saved. The scariest part was in the first hours of the event, as if someone knew exactly when to open the doors. I lay down on the narrow bunk, staring at the gray ceiling and thinking about the file I wasn't allowed to open. At that moment, I could still convince myself that it was just another pre-war risk report, a model of possible scenarios, nothing more. But numbers are stubborn things, and corporations have a habit of planning ahead. I didn't yet know that this first working day would become the starting point on the road to a revelation. The end of the world wasn't an accident. It was someone's business plan.